Welcome to Why Am I Yelling Live, the video show for parents everywhere to come together, learn from one another, and have fun doing it. I'm Krista, and I'm the creator of Why Am I Yelling? And I help parents navigate the exciting path of raising children by addressing the fear, embracing the milestones, and encouraging a positive and creative family dynamic. Thank you so much for being here today. Our guest, who I'm very excited to introduce you to, is the wonderful Mark Tucker. Mark is a former teacher and youth leader who has partnered his experience and knowledge with the amazing Jennifer Powers, who is a friend of mine, and also his wife, to create O Shift for Teens. And it's basically a movement. Mark and I talked about this earlier today, but it includes a book and workshops. And Mark hosts a weekly podcast called O Shift for Teens, and it's focused on bringing personal growth strategies to the youth of our generation. So welcome, Mark Tucker. Thank you for being here.
You bet. Hi, Krista. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you? Did you get to watch the baseball game last night?
I did. Pretty amazing. I'm not a super baseball fan, but man, that was exciting.
Such a good game. I'm not a diehard fan of either team, but my friend Ann works in communications with the Indians, so we were by default rooting for Cleveland.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I was like screaming at the TV, and it was like watching a Yankee game here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. Pretty exciting.
Very exciting. So thanks for being here. Thanks for, I was actually a guest on your podcast a couple weeks ago, and
that's true.
Really enjoyed myself. It was great. And I wanted to have you on because I've been listening to all the podcasts and I love them, and I know what your O Shift is all about, but I wanted to tell our viewers what you guys do. And so give me the abridged version. Let's talk about it. Tell me what O Shift for Teens is.
Right. No, it's thank you again for having me on the show. Of course, that was a great episode that you were on about kids and communication. It's a favorite topic of mine. You know, I was teaching high school when I met Jennifer Powers, and you know, I can't take a lot of credit for the wisdom behind O Shift. She's the guru. She's the international speaker and the best-selling author. I just kind of hitched myself to her, and
right.
The rest is history. What was happening is Jen was speaking to adult audiences about O Shift, and of course, O Shift, for those who don't know, is about choosing your words, your reactions, and your roles. So understanding that your words and your reactions actually have a consequence, and sort of changing that trajectory. So if you think of O Shift, it's kind of funny, but it's really about choosing a different path. And Jen speaks on it. And of course, the book is about that. And of course, the part about choosing your roles is really, I think, super pertinent to teens, because so many people take the victim role, and you could say that teens, especially in that stage of life, it's anytime I talk to a youth worker and I say, we help teens to stop playing the victim role, they're just like, yeah, right. That's. And so right. Jen would have people talk to her after she would give a presentation. So you need to get this message to teens. And we had started dating about that time. This is about 5.5 years ago. And I said, hey, I can help you write that book. I was teaching leadership at the time. And so we went into production mode. And I can tell you, in the last 5.5 years, it's been nonstop production. Yeah. But, it took us, I think, about 9 months to get O Shift for Teens. And here's a copy. And you can see how cute we are. Look how cute we are.
So good. You guys are so cute. You're so cute.
We're cuter in small form, though, not in life-size form.
I disagree.
As soon as we had written the book, the truth is, teens aren't looking for self-help. They're not out like, how can I better myself? I mean, right. But what we needed to do was start creating material for individuals who are trying to bring the message to teens. And Krista, if you look at everything that we've done so far, it's all about empowering you. It's about empowering not only you to help others, but you to intervene in your own life. It's about the power that you have to change your own life and the lives of others. So everything that we've done since that time has really been about giving more tools to the people in the movement. We call it a movement, so that they can live joyful lives.
I love it. I love the message. I want, and so how do you, so you have the movement and you have your workshop. So you go to places and present? How do we get the word out for the movement? Like, how are you guys doing that?
Well, a couple of ways, and I would say things really sort of shifted for us about a year and a half ago when we one of the things we did is we put Jennifer's best-selling book on our website as a free download, and that was really about us sort of putting our money where our mouth is. If we really want this to be a movement, are we going to wait till everybody's purchased the book to do it? The answer to that is no. We want to make it available to everybody and create a movement.
Right.
And we redid our website. It's much more about the user now. It's much more about engaging. So you go to the website and there's all sorts of ways for people to essentially be involved in the movement.
Right.
To the point where now we have people that are facilitating our material. Our workshop kits are all about, we hand it to you and you become a facilitator. So, and that sort of comes from my teaching background. It's like Jen, I had to tell her, we've got to write this material so it's super easy for people to facilitate.
Sure.
Because people out there, if they're teaching, if they're working with kids, or if they're working with adults, they don't want to have to, go to school to learn your material.
Right.
It really has to be super easy to use. And so all of our facilitators manuals are super step-by-step so that our people could be successful. And it's really spread like wildfire. We've got facilitators all across the United States and beyond.
Okay. That's awesome. And then, and they take the message to the masses and they do it in a classroom setting or in a group setting kind of thing?
Well, that's a great question. Now, Krista, I know that you're a coach. Jen is a coach as well. Of course, she's a master certified coach. And so when we were writing this material, we really made it sort of usable for people that were doing that kind of work. So we've got people that are facilitating our material one-on-one.
Okay.
We've got many people that I do as sort of teleconferences.
Yep.
And of course, there's many free teleconference lines where it makes it easy for them to do. We've got people doing them at conferences, in their own classes. So it really, the sky's the limit. We have facilitators that they travel like Jennifer and myself do, and present at conferences, present at workshops and trainings. And all they have to do, once they've done it once or twice, they get super competent in doing it. And then they're changing lives, which is really, it's so fun to see, and such brings us a lot of pride, of course.
That's great. And then what has the reaction been for, the kids and the parents?
Right. Well, what's interesting, Krista, is one of the things that you mentioned that we've recently added is my O Shift for Teens podcast, which, you could go to iTunes and find that, or go to oshift.com and find that as well. And one of the ideas behind that is that parents and teen advocates, I mean, let's be honest, many of us are out there winging it. We're just sort of doing our best.
Yep.
And it's just too complicated to wing. And so what I decided to do was host a weekly show where I reached out to topic experts, where they get to choose from a list of questions of what they are most competent to answer. We have a conversation each week. Far we've talked about kids and technology, kids in recovery. Next week we've got ones about helping teens of color. So it's all about helping folks to see a different perspective and to not have to wing it. So the response that we've gotten, of course, we get emails all the time from listeners. Jen and I also do a weekly audio blog. We get responses from listeners saying, thank you for being true. Thank you for not pretending that you have all the answers. Thank you for being vulnerable. So it's been very rewarding, very fun. And of course, I get to meet people like you.
Oh, well, that's so nice of you. No, I think it's wonderful. I think, especially, I met Jen I went to her school that she is a trainer for. So that's how I know her. And she was my coach for a little while. And, when you get into this business and you get into this industry, you're not doing it, you're really doing it to change other people's lives. and help other people, find their passion or whatever it is that you choose to go in and coach for. And I know that when I decided to go into parenting and relationships, it was really because it's where I am in my life now, and it's the most important job that I'm ever going to have. And so I just kind of made sense for me to not want to wing it and figure out and take the experiences that I've had, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and write about it and talk about it and coach on it and help other people, get through it too. Because, this whole parenting thing is not an easy thing. I mean, I know you have 2 boys.
Yeah.
So how do you guys work this movement into raising them?
Oh, that's a great question. And just to back up, coaching, what you and Jen do, it's something that's really inspiring to me. People that understand, it's as simple as asking good questions, and I know that you do that very, very well. And I think that as much as the principles in the book has impacted my own parenting. I've always felt like I'm a pretty decent father, but like I mentioned before, I was winging it, and so I needed something that was a little more structured, and it came from, of course, some research. Right. But I think my time with Jennifer Powers, she's an incredible person. She is a very self-reflective person, and she met me at a time when both myself and my boys were sort of fresh off of divorce, and we were all going through, I would say, a very challenging time. It was very, very dark,
Yeah.
And Jen was there. We met when I was still experiencing that, and Jen would ask me things, kind of self-reflective things, not obnoxious. It was kind of like
just thought-provoking
things that a coach would ask, and it began to open my eyes. I feel like I'm a fairly self-reflective person, but of course I picked a very, very self-reflective, and she would ask me things like, I don't hear you say you love your boys very often, and I was like, wow, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I want for my life. And so I would say the first step for me in this whole movement would be that self-reflective piece. Nobody's going to read O Shift if they're not self-reflective, if they're not willing to look a little deeper. And I know that you're very familiar with that. As a coach, it's all that you do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I began to look a little deeper. Your show being called Why Am I Yelling? I think a lot of parents can really relate to communicating with their kids in a state of frustration.
Sure.
Right?
I would say 90%, Why Am I Yelling it's like, I want it to be a little kitschy. It's not so like, why am I yelling? But, we yell for so many different reasons that we don't even realize we're yelling sometimes. Yeah. We're yelling at the sidelines on a soccer game. We're yelling because we're cheering for this. We're yelling because we're frustrated. Yeah. And I wanted it to be all encompassing, because I don't feel like, it's okay to yell sometimes. Yeah. And it's okay, to get your frustrations out, but it's also the self-reflecting piece where you have to think before you speak. Yeah. And so, yes, I'm with you 100% on all of it.
It really, I think a lot of people can relate to the fact that they communicate with their kids much of the time yelling and exasperated, and it becomes this sort of dynamic that is not what anybody wanted. And I found myself sort of in that same situation. I found, actually, I was observing my oldest, the way that he interacted with my youngest. It was frustrated, and it was like, oh, why are you? And I would say to him, hey man, you're overreacting. Right. And then I caught myself it was a few days before Christmas. I heard a crash. I came running out into the living room. My son, my oldest, had it ornament, and why he had it off the tree, I don't know, but he had dropped it and crashed. And I said, what are you? I was exasperated. And in the middle of it, I caught myself and I said, you know what? I'm overreacting here. Yep. And I'm doing exactly what you've been doing to your brother. I realized he was simply parroting what he'd seen his father do. Right. It was a real turning point for me sort of to take that 30,000-foot view and start looking a little deeper at myself and making some changes. And something broke in me, and I find that since that time, I almost never yell at my boys.
Right.
I just don't parent from that place of frustration.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I find, like, with my clients and with people I talk to, and when we talk about self-reflection, talk about the way that, think about how you want to be spoken to as an adult. And these kids they're really just trying to get a point across. And a lot of times they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they look to us to teach them all of these skills.
Right.
And we can't do it in a way that is, calm and reassuring. Then you're right. Then you're going to look at them one day and be like, oh my God, I'm creating this. And so I always give my clients a lot of credit. I give you a lot of credit for noticing that and realizing it and making a change for it. Because it's a hard change to make, because you have to realize that you have to make that change and they have to make that change too.
And in all fairness, it's challenging. It is an exhausting endeavor. But one of the things that I think helped me, I think maybe feel a less at conflict with my kids is understanding they are simply going through phases. Let me give you an example. I can remember when my youngest was just a little guy and we're just trying to get out the door. It's like, please, okay, put on your shoes. And like,
put on your jacket.
So he's put on his shoes, like, okay, tie your shoes. Like, really?
Yeah.
It's sort of this frustration. And there was the feeling like he was resisting me. But what I realized in researching is, no, he simply doesn't have the same brain development that I have that tells him step by step. That'll come once I made that discovery, once I started realizing that my kids are just experiencing a series of phases of brain development. Then I was able to see that they weren't resisting me, that they're not, hating on me or whatever it is that I'm afraid of, that I just simply have to understand the level that they're at right now. And it's, it just made it easier for me. So I guess my point is that sort of understanding of why your kids are doing the things that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we talked about this on the podcast, like the whole, kids going to school and like the early time that they wake up and their whole time clock is way different than our time clock. And you have to be mindful of that. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and his son is a senior in high school. And he's like, the best time for me to have a conversation with him is at 9 or 9:30 at night. Yeah. Because that's when he's ready to talk about his day. And that's when he's ready to like give me the information. It can't be at 3 o'clock when he's walking in the door from school and getting ready to go to his part-time job. And I'm like, what do you have for homework? What do you have for this? What do you have for that? Yeah. And it really, it's all a process, right? So, and it's something that you learn. Like he said to me yesterday, he was like, it took me 2 years to figure that out. It took me 2 years of him to being in high school to figure out that I shouldn't be asking him these questions at this time. I should wait until he comes to me at the end of the day and be like, hey, Dad, let me tell you what happened today. Or I can say after dinner or like before bed, how was your day today? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, awareness. And I think it's really being mindful of their development and their growth. And I think a lot of parents miss that because they just don't understand it.
Sure. No, and you totally understand it. So, it's not about faulting parents. Certainly not. It's about just giving them some new perspective. And of course, what you're doing and what I'm doing is it's really about saying, hey, listen, have you ever thought of this? I tell you, and honestly, doing a show, and you may have had the same experience, I get to learn more than anybody.
Absolutely. I think it's great. I love having people on there that have different perspectives, that they have different expertise, and they're, I learn stuff every single week when I do this show, and I think it's wonderful, and you can share it out, and like we said, we're all in this together. There's no way to parent perfectly, right? And everybody does it differently, and everyone's family looks different, and so having all kinds of tools at your disposal to make it right for your family and what's right for you guys is really what's the most important thing.
You know, and I think on your episode, if you're watching this right now, you definitely want to go check out Krista's episode. It's a great one about communication. I start that episode, I do a little buffer at the beginning, and it had nothing to do with our interview, but it was really about people. You're going to hear different things from different people about ways to raise kids that you might not agree with, and it's really, it has nothing to do with it. If you find a nugget that's helpful for you, take it, because this winging it thing that we were talking about, it's not productive, and it's
not at all.
You want to be able to get through these definitely tender changing years and get through it with joy, and not get through it with like, oh, my teens, you know, this is
I don't want to dread the teenage years, and I feel like we're starting with my 11-year-old, and so it's like I want to be on top of it, and I want to be aware of it, and I want to, you know, and I say to him all the time, I'm like, listen, I'm going through, I mean, I remember what it was like when I was your age, but I'm a girl, and Dad's here, but at the same time, I want you to know what I went through, because it's probably not unsimilar. Like, we're, you know, you're growing up, you're learning things are changing, stuff's going on. I get it. So yeah, so I think it's important to be on the same page with them, really, for lack of a better way to describe it.
So it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been good work. Definitely, I've taken on more of the shift role. I mentioned that Jen is, she's, taking off with her coaching. We produce a lot together, so we've been in the production room, really working on coaching programs that she takes into businesses, and I
love it.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. So when she presents, we present at a variety of conferences and organizations. We were just at a child welfare conference. She was presenting O-Shift and her coaching training. In a week, we're going to be in Guadalajara. She's presenting to folks, to engineers at Intel. So really,
I want to go.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I'm going. I get to go on these things and carry her bag.
What do you mean? Right. Carry the bags, whatever.
It's really, there's sort of those two sides. There's the inspirational aspect of O-Shift that just appeals to every audience. And then there's this new aspect of coaching, which you know so well. It's about asking questions and about how that creates relationship and how that breaks down barriers. And that, I think, has been something that Jen and she's just really, it's been a big part of her work. And so it's really an honor to be part of that world, hanging with her.
That's so great. I love it. I love that you guys are so cute. So where can we, so now you guys are traveling around, so we can find you online, we can find you on your website, we can find you on your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some links up here as we finish this. What else do you need me? Oh, look, and there's Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie's my assistant.
Nice.
She's put all of our stuff up.
Nailed it.
What else do we need to know?
Well, I tell people, start at oshift.com. We've made it super about you. You head there right off the bat. You can download Jen's best-selling book for free. You can find the podcast. You can find our weekly audio blog, where we spend about 10 minutes a week just talking about things that matter, not just to parents, but to everybody.
No, it's good. It's really good. I listened to that too.
Oh, good. We have a huge following on that. There's different ways to get involved. So like I said, it's about you. Find out how you can become a facilitator of this material. We just make it super easy. And of course, you can email me, as you can see, at mark@oshift.com. I try to answer all my emails and really make this about you. So that's really the way I would go to finding out more.
Awesome. I thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Great hanging out there. Yeah,
so good.
Twice.
And tell your beautiful wife that I said hello. I need to just get in touch with her, and we need to just chat, because I haven't chatted with her.
Call. Yeah, if you get her on the phone, that's the best.
I'll find her. I'm gonna hunt her down.
Krista.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye bye.